Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. In this video you will see my first attempt at making a larger scale comic drawing. This is also the first time that I used a previous sketch as a reference for the final piece. Usually I would use a light box and trace over the previous sketch, but I didn't like the original sketch, but I liked the idea behind it, so I decided to just redraw it completely in a larger scale. I ended up changing almost everything of my original sketch apart from the face and the little crown she was wearing. I didn't like the way her body was positioned, so I asked my friend who was sitting next to me to go sit in a certain position, and then I would try and draw what she looked like at that point. And I had to do it like a few times because anatomy is not my strong suit. You can also see that I started drawing with a red pencil and then changed to a normal graphite pencil. The reason was that the red is very difficult to erase and I didn't want it to show through after the watercolor. So I switched pencils just to make sure that I would be able to clean it up afterwards. Here you can obviously see that I'm struggling with the position of her shoulder. Her left shoulder is a little more towards the front and her right shoulder is towards the back, but I didn't know how to put this on paper. Like I said before, I asked my friend to go sit a certain way and I tried to copy it to paper. And in the end I kind of like it, so I think it was quite alright. I'm not entirely sure if the proportions are okay, but it looks fine to me. And then of course there is always the hair. I have a few artists whose technique I really like, and I've been trying to practice it a little more in my sketchbook in my own time. And I'm kind of getting used to it, but I'm still not sure what style I actually like. For this piece I decided to put in the color first. For the skin, I am using my skin mixing chart as a reference. I made a video tutorial on how I mix skin tones, and you can find a link in the description below. I am covering a piece of the dress with the skin color because I wanted that part of the dress to be see-through. This piece was a good way to practice shading and adding blush. I haven't really been successful at adding blush, and I know I need a lot more practice. I'm still figuring out how to use the watercolor for this purpose and what is the best way for me to apply it. As you can see, I was putting down colors and then dabbing them up with a cloth, and I had seen other artists do this, but for some reason the color with me doesn't stick. It just removes everything that I had just put down before. So I still need a lot of practice or just figure out a different way. For the dress, I am putting a very light layer of white over the see-through piece. For For the hair, I am putting down a base layer, and then later on I will go back in and create more depth with a more saturated color. For the background, I wanted to put down a flat wash, but this is a technique that I still don't master. It's very difficult to keep control of how much water you're using and how much color you put in. About a week after I did this painting, one of my favorite artists, Danica Sills, who is fabulous at this technique, created a tutorial on how to do this. If you're interested in watching this tutorial, you can find it in the description below. She explains it very well and gives you tips and tricks on how you can practice it more. And of course, yeah, practice is the only thing you can do, because obviously just watching a video and expecting it to work from the first time isn't working. You can see that in this painting. When the hair is fully dried, I am going over it with a more saturated color. This is the exact same color as the base layer that I put on before, but I used less water. With this, I am trying to create more texture and a little bit of shading. Because I didn't like the flat green color, I went over it with my favorite Winsor blue color to give it a little more depth. I think the combination of Winsor green and Winsor blue is an absolute winner. Also for the dress, I am using a combination of this Winsor blue and Winsor green. I didn't want to add an extra color because I wanted the main focus to be on her face and her hair. The last part is always my favorite, going over it with ink and adding the finishing touches. I am using a Staedtler fine liner 0.5 or 0.1 depending on what I need it for. As I said before, the hair is not my strong suit. I still need a lot of practice on this, and I have been trying different techniques and ways to draw hair, and so far this is the one I like most. I just define the big areas and then put some few strands here and there. For the crown, I am using a Signo Uni-ball white gel pen. You can find a list of the tools that I'm using in this video in the description below. I am also using the same pen for the details on her dress. Because I wanted to add more depth and texture, I went back in with a thick black marker. I also used another thick black marker to go around the entire drawing to make her stand out more. We're almost near the end of this video, and I must say that I struggled a lot on this one, but I also learned a lot and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I know now that I need a lot more practice on putting in blush and shading with watercolor. I was planning on adding them with color pencil, but I didn't have them with me at the time. Anyway, that is not an excuse to not practice with the tools you've got. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions or tips or tricks that you want to share with me, leave them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.